All right. Good evening, everyone, class of 2028. Welcome to your junior registration class presentation for the 26-27 school year. We presented in classrooms today, and I asked all of the students, like, who feels like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's finally junior, like registering for junior year. It's insane. How many, and I asked how many, like, who's like, oh my gosh, it's only junior year. And so many of students raised their hands to both. And so we're so excited to start this process. I am Christy Vogel. I'm one of the counselors, and I will go over my team in just a minute. And I am joined this evening with our newest team member, Mrs. Silva. So we will both be presenting, as well as Mrs. DeLigio from San Antonio, the principal there, as well as Miss Vieira. She will be speaking about the IB program that we have. All right, meet our counseling staff. Now that our students are going into junior year, hopefully you know who your students' counselor are, but you can see each counselor breakdown up at the top. Mr. Troche has A through CHOI. I have CHOJ, that's a typo on there. It should be OJ to GOM. Miss Trecarelli has GON to LIN. Miss Cizik has LIO to PARK. Mr. Anderson has PARL to SMI. Mrs. Silva has SMI to Z. And then we have Ms. Diaz, our support counselor, who helps support our students with their 504s. Now, we could not do any of this without our wonderful counseling secretary, Mrs. Stevenson, as well as our counseling technician, Ms. Telemontes. As we told the students tonight, or today rather, we went through our counseling page, how to get a hold of us. We told them the best time to see us is lunch. I gave the example today, like if you came during class right now, could you see me? No, because I'm not in my office. We don't want your students to be out of class. We want to make sure that we're available. So lunch is always the best time to get a hold of us. And then our emails are on the website as well, for your reference. All right, we're going to jump right into the deep end and start going over credits. What do I need to graduate? What do I need for Claremont High School? Each one of our courses is worth 5 credits per class. A D is passing. However, it is not sufficient to go on to the next level of a specific course. So for example, if I had a D in second semester of IM1, I could not go on to first semester of IM2. A C or better is typically the prerequisite for our courses, especially our progression courses such as math, world language, our higher level sciences, classes like that. It is extremely important that we're getting C's or higher so we can progress throughout high school. Another reason it's so important to get a C or higher is that is the minimum requirement for a four-year college. I'll be going over our A through G classes in just a little bit. The A through Gs are the minimum courses to be eligible for a four-year college. And again, four-year colleges want to make sure that you're getting C's or higher. Now, for more competitive colleges, we are going to need to have higher than C's, but that is the minimum requirement in those four-year college prep classes. An F on your report card does not earn you any credits. When I say report card, I mean semester. So our first semester just ended about a week and a half ago. So if your student earned a D or an F in one of those courses, we are going to meet with your students and we'll go over that in a little bit. In March, that's really the time that they can talk about, I need summer school, or I know I need to make up this course. I want to be eligible for a four-year college. How can I do that still? The minimum requirement for graduation is 220 credits. Now, throughout their 4 years at Claremont High School, our students have actually the opportunity of 240 credits if they take 6 classes per 4 years. So each class, each semester is going to be 5 credits. So they have the opportunity each semester of 30 credits. So each year they have the opportunity of 60. And those 60 times those 4 years is 240 credits. So we even have a little bit of padding built into our schedule, which is great. Grades. College-bound students, remember that junior grades are the last set of grades that colleges are going to see when you're applying to colleges in the fall. So good academic performance in your junior year is super important. It's going to prepare you for college classes, and avoid remedial work. So when we send those transcripts at the beginning of your senior year to colleges, they're not going to have first semester of senior year grades on there. So often I have students come into me and they say, Mrs. Vogel, I'm doing so good in my senior year. I didn't do so good last year, but I'm doing really good now. How do I tell the colleges? Unfortunately, most of the colleges are just looking at the end of your junior year grades. So it's really important that we're keeping up the rigor in our schedule and that we're earning those higher grades. All right, CHS graduation requirements. I did go through this a little bit. Minimum is 220 credits. Specifically from social science, I need 30 credits. Your students are currently in world history, so they'll complete the 10 credits of world history, hopefully earning a D or higher for graduation, specifically C or higher for a four-year college. Next year, they'll take a US history or equivalent. We went over all of the different options with your students earlier today. There are several different options once we reach junior year. US history, for example, we have US history, we have an online US history, which is going to be completely asynchronous. That course does not meet at all, and that really takes a motivated student to be successful in that class. We also have an AP US history class and then an IB History of the Americas course. So there's a multitude of ways for them to meet that requirement in their junior year. In senior year, they'll complete a Gov or Econ or equivalent. So that equivalent would be, for example, AP Gov or AP Microeconomics. They need to complete 40 credits of English. Each year, they're required to be enrolled in an English course. And so they will complete 10 credits each year. Again, going into junior year, they have a little bit more options. So please talk to your students, see what options they want to go with. And I encourage every single student that I saw today, talk to your teachers. If you don't know what class you belong in next year, your math teacher is going to know your best math ability. Your English teacher is going to be able to say, like, yeah, challenge yourself. Let's do AP next year. So please make sure you're having those conversations with your teachers. We need 20 credits total of math. 10 of them must be integrated math 1. You need a minimum of 20 credits for science. Of those, it has to be a biological science, which our students complete via biology. And another 10 is a physical science, which our students for graduation requirement only can complete via physical science, or for a four-year college, that chemistry course that many of our sophomores are in this year. They also need a fine art, world language, or a CTE class. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I'm going to go through our minimum requirements for a four-year college in just a minute. This is different. Okay, it's going to vary a little bit. This is an or, not an and. So your student needs a fine art or world language or a CTE class. They don't have to have a world language for graduation. It is encouraged because we encourage our students to be eligible for a four-year college, and they need 10 credits of that. They also need 20 credits of physical education for graduation. The other credits are completed via elective courses. Now you might be like, my kid's not taking that many electives. Any course that a student finishes that exceeds the minimum requirement for graduation goes into an elective credit. So for example, if your student is taking a math for the third year next year, that math for graduation purposes is going to fulfill the elective credits. All right, the A through G requirements. Again, these are the minimum requirements to be eligible to apply for a four-year college. Now, it is a little bit different than high school requirements. Our first focus has high school requirements, and then we're looking at our A through Gs, but they have a lot of similarities. A is history. There's 2 years of social science that students are required. Our students complete that via world history and US history. This is the same for our B requirement. All students are required 4 years of an English, which is the same as required for our high school graduation. One of the biggest changes is here. Now, mathematics, we require 2 years for graduation. They require 3. It must go up to a minimum of IM3, and it is 4 years recommended. If you have any questions on that, again, your students will meet one-on-one with their counselors, and they'll be able to have that conversation. Science is the D requirement. They need a minimum of 2 years of a science. That physical science, which for us is for a four-year college, is going to be chemistry, and then that biological science, which will be biology. They need 2 years. Again, this is a big difference from our graduation requirement. This is where they need 2 years of a world language or a language other than English. So it needs to be Spanish 1 and 2 or French 1 and 2. Taking Spanish 1 and then French 1 would not fulfill that requirement. And it is recommended that students go up to that third year. Now, they also need, in addition to the world language, they need a fine art. They need a visual and or performing arts class. That can be a ton of different options at Claremont High School. It could be one of our theater classes. It could be photography and a visual art class, a ceramics class. We have so many different options, and those are all available on our course website for you to see. Finally, is the G College Preparatory elective. Now, many students will complete this elective a multitude of different ways. You can do it through a geography class. You can do it through an ethnic studies class. You can also do it by taking a year of one of your core classes beyond the minimum. And the Gov and Econ can also count as that G elective. We are lucky enough to have both the International Baccalaureate IB program and the Advanced Placement AP program. Both are highly rigorous and have extensive analytical reading and writing to them. Both have weighted GPAs for students earning a C or a better in that course. Now, when I mean weighted GPA, instead of earning 4 points for an A, your student would then earn 5 points for an A. So we have students on a 4-point scale earning a 4.2, a 4.3. So that's going to add what we call weight to their GPA. Many colleges grant credit for passing the AP or IB tests. So that is something to be mindful of when your student is looking at schools in about a year and a half, which is going to come very quickly, of what schools accept the AP classes that I'm wanting to take. AP and IB tests are held in May. That AP schedule is already up on the school's website as well. Course content, it's going to be rigorous. All right, from going to college prep to an AP or IB level course means that they're really taking a course that is going equivalent to a college class, because hopefully if they pass that test, they're earning that college credit. So the assessments, if you find yourself in a place where you have financial need, there are fee waivers for both exams that are held in May. When in the fall, when we do our AP and IB registration, your student will need to talk to Ms. Talamontes in the front office, and she'll be able to support you through that entire process. The AP courses, it's 1 3-hour test per subject, and then all tests have a significant multiple choice portion, and it's about $105 per exam. Now, the IB program, external exam, there's generally 2.5-hour tests per subject and an internal exam completed during the course with the teacher. Juniors can only take up to 2 exams, and those exams are typically $130 or more. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Miss Vieira, so she can talk a little bit more about our IB program. She is our IB coordinator this year, and we are extremely lucky to have her. And she's going to go over the different steps that we have for you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So the International Baccalaureate in CHS, you have 3 paths. So that means that after completing, while completing the high school diploma, you can get a second diploma if you pursue the full IB diploma. And that doesn't mean that you have to be, the best student in the school to be in the program. You just need to be the one who is motivated to do work and to learn, because that is exactly what the IB philosophy is, right? But you can also take classes. So IB classes, you can be in IB history, for example, and then take the exam at the end of the year. And you're going to just get a certification for that you took that exam and you passed that exam. Or you like the rigor, or your friends are in that class and you just take the class, but then you don't take the exam. Other than that, if you like to be on the full diploma, and for some reason I cannot change the slide, you need to have to fulfill some of the requirements. And the requirements are going to be to have 1 class for each subject group. So we have 6 groups. One is going to be English, social science, which is the history class. You have to have a math class and a science class, and of course, a world language class. And then the group 6, which is the arts group, it could be an art or it could be an elective. Between those classes, that is a total of 6 classes within the 2 years, so juniors and senior. So you're going to have 3 subjects in or 3 classes in the higher level, which is a 2 years program. It's a 2 years class. For example, your English class is going to be a 2 years. English in junior year, HL1, and senior year, HL2. And then you're going to have 3 standard level. So that means that it's a 1-year class. That is, for example, going to be your world language class. That is a 1-year class. After that, you have to complete the extracurricular, what we call the core. That is a semester in your junior year and a semester in your senior year of theory of knowledge, TOK. You have to write an extended essay that you're going to be doing starting on the end of your junior year. And then you have to do CAS, which is, the extracurricular for creativity, activity, and service, which you can show how creative and how active and how you belong to a community. And all these, you're working with your advisor. Once you complete all these and you take your exams, you're going to have 24 points out of the 42 possibles, right? Plus the 3 points that is from core, right? So it's a total of 45 points. And these points come from your final exams, which Ms. Bogle said that is in May, right? And you're going to be taking only 2 exams, up to 2 exams in your junior year, and all the other exams are going to be on your senior year, okay? What classes? Do you have different classes that you can choose from the different subject areas? And if you see here, of course, everyone is going to be in English and everyone is going to be in history. Those are the 2-year classes. But then depends on the world language that you are going to fulfill that world language acquisition group 2. So let's say that you are in a Spanish path. Right now, you should be in Spanish 2 or in Spanish 3. So then you are going to be, going through that path, right? Because you have to have that 4 years in order to be in IB world language. Of course, those who are in heritage class, that is a 3 years language. And then if you see group 6, you can choose to be on the visual arts or music, but also you can be an elective. It can be psychology or any other class that you pick from group 3, 4, and 5. Actually, sorry, it's from group 2, 4, and 5. So some students who have been meeting with me already, they have been choosing, for example, choose science instead of being in only one, instead of doing an art class. So this is generally what it's going to be. So if you have any questions, you can always meet with me. And here you have, some of you know that my room number is 801. So you can meet anytime during the morning or at lunchtime. You can also ask me questions through this form that is on, below, ask me anything, answering as soon as I can. And if you are already, knowing that you are interested in doing the full diploma and you want to see how your schedule looks like, you can go and meet with me and then fill out this interest form. So I know that I can, go ahead and check, your registrations and that you are registered to the proper classes. So if you have any more questions, you can post on the chat, all this time to answer questions if you have any IB questions for the diploma program. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maestra Vera. So also, please utilize the chat. I apologize. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Any questions you have, Ms. Silva and myself will be presenting. However, we have about 5 or 6 counselors that are waiting for your questions and happy to answer those questions in the chat throughout this presentation. At the end of the presentation, if there are more questions, we will do some live question and answers as well. All right, summer school. So, to be able to take a summer school class at Claremont High School, the registration forms will be available soon. We don't have a set date for them yet. Our goal is to be able to have those forms ready for when we start meeting with your students. Again, that is our hope, that is our goal. So, if they need summer school, want to take summer school, they're able to get that course. We offer a multitude of different courses. Some of these courses are not going to be offered for juniors. For example, government and econ, it's not offered for juniors. The course that we have, ethnic studies, integrated math 2, semester two only, a full year of pre-calculus. Please note that the summer course is pre-calculus, not our AP pre-calculus. We also often teach chemistry in summer as well. CH Summer School dates, summer school remediation available. English, math, science, social science. Those are the main courses that we look at students being able to remediate during the summer. When I say remediate, I mean if your student earned a D or an F in a class that they need for either graduation or a four-year college, they will be able to make up that course during summer school. The summer school dates, right now the tentative dates are June 17th to July 2nd for session one and July 6th to July 17th for session number two. Now, please note that students can typically only take two courses during summer. So up to 10 credits is how many credits that they can take during summer. Our dates for dual enrollment courses will be announced later in February, and most likely students will only be able to take one dual enrollment course. So if you know that your student might be deficient in credits and need more than 10 credits for graduation, this is a great time to start talking to each other and maybe reach out to your counselor regarding San Antonio, which leads me to Mrs. DeLigio, our San Antonio principal.
Thank you, Mrs. Vogel. I'm also the proud parent of a student in the class of 28, so I'm right there with you as you go through this tonight, and we're trying to figure out what classes to take as well. So who is San Antonio? So San Antonio, we offer credit recovery. We're a California model continuation school. We're the only continuation school in the world to be able to tout that we are an Apple Distinguished School based on our application and the ways in which we use our Apple devices within some of our projects and our research. We do offer a smaller setting. So for some kids, it's not about credit recovery. It's about needing a smaller setting. Right now, we've got about 66 kids on campus. Some kids need that to bring their anxiety level down, or they need it for medical reasons. Maybe they can't traverse the campus like everybody else can. And so we offer that flexibility because we're a very small campus. We have an OD policy. We push our students to excel beyond the graduation requirement. As we tell the kids sometimes, D for diploma, C for college. As a San Antonio student, it's all about the C grade. We offer ROP classes right now. Some of our kids are off campus at different locations after school for HVAC and cosmetology. But we also have currently a career exploration class. And next year, we are moving to a media arts and entertainment pathway that will focus on business. We have 5 athletic teams. We take everybody who's interested. We have kids who maybe it's their first time having played a certain sport and they're out there and they're having fun. We also have partnerships with Claremont Sunrise Rotary and with the Kiwanis of Claremont. Our counselor is also a clinical therapist, so she wears 2 hats. It's both an MFT and a counselor. Currently, she's on maternity leave, but I do have a wonderful sub for her. Okay, we have 3 types of students that typically come to us. We have the student who is traditionally coming to us because they need credit recovery. We have students, like I said, who come to us because maybe there's a medical issue and they need a smaller campus. There's an anxiety issue. They need a smaller campus. We also have students who originally came to us Because they needed credit recovery, they recovered their credits. They can transfer back to CHS, but they choose to stay at San Antonio. So one of the benefits of having a really small campus is that the staff gets to know your kids and your family very well. So that is a huge draw for a lot of our families. Our class sizes are very small. We are 24-1 versus the 37-1 at CHS. And that's part of that is a contractual obligation as well. We are on a modified block schedule, allowing our teachers to be able to give extra support in class. So there's a little bit of homework, not a whole lot. But while kids are starting their homework in class, that gives the student the opportunity to check in with the teacher and get clarification as needed. We do have leadership opportunities. We have athletic opportunities. What we are not is a dumping ground for discipline problems. So back when you and I probably went to high school, at least up until the last 15 years ago, that's what happened. Somebody got in trouble at school and you automatically shipped them off to a continuation school. Laws and the education code has changed tremendously. So what you're finding now is many more layers of restorative practices that are available at the comprehensive site, eliminating the quick decision to move kids. So our kids come down on a voluntary basis. Sometimes parents are concerned, right? Because they still have it in their mind. Oh, I remember the kind of kid that went to continuation school when I was a student. And time again, they come down to us and they say the same thing. They say, San Antonio has changed my student. It saved my student. It saved our family. I had an alum from 1975 show up on my doorstep this summer, pulls up in his little Porsche, and he's like, I used to be a college dean. I just retired and I came to San Antonio and it saved me. And he had a wonderful conversation with me about the teachers he had back then, which, like the teachers we have now, were super, super invested in the kids and really worked to meet the kids where they are. So that is a huge change in the education code that, alternative ed is not a punishment anymore. Kids are looking forward. We were just speaking to a student today who sees he's a CHS student. He sees two of his friends with us at San Antonio. And he's like, how do I get to San Antonio? In the case of kids who have to remediate credits, sometimes because of the fear, it's no, my kid's going to make it up. My kid's going to make it up. And we hear this over and over. We want to get your child in before the senior year. Now, granted, we'll take them in senior year. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your goal is to have your student return to EHS for their senior year, the sooner we get our hands on them, the more likely that's to happen. The longer you wait, if your child needs credit recovery, the harder it's going to be to get them back. And one thing that both schools are aligned with is we don't want your child to be a non-grad. We don't want to send your child to adult education to get their high school diploma. We want them with us where they have the experience, the opportunities, lots and lots of good things at both campuses going on. Below, you'll see a QR code, which is linked to a video with one of our students talking about San Antonio. So I encourage you to watch the video. Anytime you want to come down, our office hours are 7:30 to 4. You want to take a tour, please, by all means, feel free to come by. We're happy to give tours. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Deligio. I would also kind of like to reiterate a little bit of what she said. I oftentimes have students that go to San Antonio that are like, I'm going to come back. You'll see. Then I see them at graduation and they're capping gown. And I'm like, you didn't come back. You loved it like I told you you would. And we love to see that. Another thing is if you guys are on the fence, as Ms. Deligio said, I tell students all the time, I've never had a student go and take a tour and not decide to go there. It's that type of school. So if it's something that you're like, yes, this is where I need to go right now, it's where I need to be better for my education, please let us know how we can support you.
One of the things also, Mrs. Vogel, that we just started this year is all of our seniors that started with us at the beginning of the year, they are aligned now through one of the projects we do between our government and our English class to receive their Civic Seal of Engagement at graduation. So that was kind of a thing we kind of mandated as part of our project, and our kids are on track. And they're doing a wonderful project for their seal with the kiddos over at Sumner Elementary.
That's awesome. Super exciting. All right. Now, moving on outside coursework, which does not count as what we were just talking about. I'm sorry about this slide. I'm not sure why it got a little off a little bit. So Claremont Unified School District is unable to recommend or advise coursework outside of CUSD. So outside courses, they might vary widely in content, format, pacing. They're just going to be different. And so we can't say that they're going to align. Courses are probably not going to prepare students for the full regular school year. Something that I like to tell students and parents when they ask about it is you're taking a full 36-week course that your student is in for 5 hours a week, and you're squishing it into 4 weeks. They're not going to get that foundational knowledge that they need to go on to the next subject if that's the reason that they're taking it. It also might not meet our graduation or our college admissions or NCAA requirements. So that's why we don't advise taking courses outside of CUSD. I can only, and my other counselors can only speak and advise on courses taken through CUSD. Some summer ideas outside of summer school. This is a great time to start going on college tours, virtual or in-person tours. We also have a couple Mondays off over the next couple weeks. We have our spring break coming up. We are so lucky to live where we live because we have so many colleges so close and at our fingertips. I tell students all the time, go down to San Diego and a day you can see a UC school, a state school, as well as a private school or many private schools all in one day, one trip. Take a bunch of you guys down there. So it's also a great time to volunteer. We don't take volunteer hours into account as far as graduation, but a lot of our students really like being able to put those volunteer hours and participation on their college applications. It's not a bad time to get a job, increase that responsibility over the summer. I have on here complete the counselor and teacher questionnaire. I am so sorry. That is specifically for our rising seniors. So don't worry about that or the college essays. All right. We do have a number of dual enrollment courses offered at Claremont High School. We have our Muse 113, which is like our history of rock and roll. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because for the sake of time, and they are available on our website. What they are is students will earn 10 high school credits and 3 units for Citrus College. Now, many of those classes, those 3 units for Citrus College are transferable. So it's a really nice option for our students to take if they want to start building their college transcript in high school. Please note that as you have rising juniors, not all of these courses will be available until senior year, and seniors do have priority. As a junior, a lot of times students are like, that's not fair. I want priority. I want to take the class too. But in their senior year, they're not complaining that they have priority. So just make note of that. If you see those dual enrollment courses in your students' course requests, which we are about to get to, then just kind of remind them like, hey, we're going to need to have some alternates just in case. All right. We also have our ROP, Regional Occupational Program. We have a number of these courses offered on our campus: Mental and Behavioral Health 1 and 2, Sports Medicine 1 and 2, Audio Production 1 and 2. We have 4 levels of stage tech. We're going to have 3 levels of engineering and drawing. And then our careers in education, we're going to have a level 2 next year as well. Something really special and exciting about some of these courses is if you complete up through the Pathway Completer, then you will earn a special stole at graduation. And there's also going to be a ceremony through ROP that you can participate in. Our students love to have the extra stoles and cords at graduation. So if that's something that interests you, please make sure that you're being mindful of that when you're going through your students' course registration form of like, hey, you had mental health 1 this year. What about mental health 2 next year? Just to kind of keep in mind. We also have many off-campus ROP courses that are an amazing opportunity for students. We have HVAC, welding, emergency and medical responder. These are available locally. If you have questions about this, I would really encourage your student to go see Mrs. Heil in the Career Center, and then her email is also present here. All right, I am going to go ahead and give this to Mrs. Silva. Please, as we're going through it all, type those questions in the chat.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mrs. Silva. I'm the newest counselor on the team. So speaking of changes, we are going to be going over some of the changes for our 26-27 school year. We have a new student system, ARIES. So all requests will now be entered via ARIES. There's been some name changes for our dual enrollment math and English courses. It's still the same courses. However, there is a name change. So we went over this with the students when we were introducing the dual enrollment courses. English 101 is now English or English 1000C. It's a little more confusing, but we went over that with them. And so it's just a title change, but same course. We have a new science course, which is also really exciting. We have Earth and Space. We have options for online courses, our U.S. history. Again, I know Ms. Vogel touched on this. This is going to take a very motivated and driven and responsible student. We talked about this in the classrooms today, that if the student puts this in a request, it is not guaranteed that they will get it. We as counselors want to look that over and make sure that we feel that they would be a good fit and be successful in that type of class. We have some new electives, Cyber and Net 2. The prerequisite for that one would be computer science, and then careers in education 2. So talking about those pathways, this is another way that we can have some more of those pathways. Also, another huge change is going to be the first day of school will now be earlier, and it's set to be August 19th. Okay. All right. So what we went over today in the classrooms was course selection. This was introduced to them. They all were given a printed course selection. This is also available in a PDF form on our website. Excuse me. We encourage them to fill it out on the paper and then snap a picture of it with their iPad and share that with you guys, for the families at home, to go over those course requests. All requests, we went through them, and they were to enter 6 courses today in ARIES before they left their classroom. We let them know that changes can be made up until February 13th at 11:59 p.m. After that, it will close, and the only ones who will be able to make changes are the counselors. So we really tried to highlight that and tell them to talk to their parents and caregivers about what would be the best fit for them. We really encourage them to talk to their current teachers about what is the best next step for them, because there are so many options that open up to our rising juniors. We really encourage them to communicate with their current teachers as they know best. Obviously, they can come to us at lunch and talk with us, and we can best advise them, but their teachers know who they are as students better than we do. And so we really encourage them to have that collaboration with their teachers. Counselors will, make your course selections as though you're not taking summer school. So we highlighted this in class. If a student is looking to progress, for example, in math, if a student is in IM3 but would like to begin their junior year in Calc AB, they would need to take pre-cal in the summer. This would mean that they need to put pre-cal as a course request, because we can't bank on them taking it in the summer. We want to make sure that we put whatever is supposed to be next in the progression, and then we have those one-on-one conversations. So we're going to meet with them again throughout March 3rd and March 9th. And so we're going to go over that with them, and we go one-on-one, and counselors will make notes and talk to your students about special circumstances, if they're in team sports, anything like that, that we need to make note on their registration forms that they submit. One thing about the submission also is that it's no longer on the Google form, so it's all through Aries, and you don't need to save or submit. It's all, once you do it, it's saved. So this is a screenshot of our counseling page. This is what the front of our counseling page looks like on our website. The banner that you see with the puzzle pieces is what will take you to the course selection page that we have. But this page in general, our counseling page, has a ton of information. It has our counseling breakdown. It has our counseling links. Our YouTube channel of everything such as this is going to be uploaded to there. We have junior night, which we had a few weeks ago for our current juniors. I would highly, highly encourage you to give that a watch as you have your rising juniors coming up right now. This is quite lengthy, but it's super informative about what your junior year is going to look like, what's important about senior year, and it's always good to get a head start. So if you were to click that banner with the puzzle pieces, it would take you to this page. This is our course selection page. Here is a breakdown of the steps that we are doing as counselors with your students, a course selection calendar of the dates that we will be meeting with them, in what classes and when. It's basically all of our calendars for the next month or so. Step 1 is what we did today. That was us in the classrooms with your student. Step 2 is where we are currently at now, giving you this webinar and talking about all the specifics about junior year. Step 3 is going to be where you guys have the time to finalize what you would like your students to have as their course selections, and watching the video and getting all the information on all the course requests. Step 4 is when we're going to meet with your student and we're going to finalize those course requests. We're going to go over everything with them, let them know if there's certain conflicts, or if there's certain classes that we recommend to them, or if they want to tell us about what summer school classes they plan on. All of that is going to be on step 4. Okay, so if you scroll down on that page, you're going to end up at the bottom here with all of our important dates that we are going to be meeting with students. And today is the day that we were in the classrooms and doing the webinar, and then the deadline for the final course selections, and then when we're going to be individually meeting with them. This is the paper that we were talking about. So students were to select a start time. We have 0 period or first period that they can start, so having a 0 through 5 or a 1 through 6. They also have the English selection, because we do have options now that they're juniors. US history, science, math, and as you can see, there's quite a few courses there, and so that's why we really encourage them to talk to their teachers about what would be the best fit for them. Our world language, same thing. We always encourage them to get those 3 years, minimum 2, and talk to their teachers about what's best for them and next steps. On the back side of that is our electives. This is where you see 2 columns, a P and an A, that would be primary and alternate. For every elective, we need your students to select an alternate. This is super important because if there is a conflict in the schedule, maybe 2 periods clash, or the class gets filled, we need an alternate that your student would be also okay with being in. So altogether, we want that course request to have 6 classes as well as a start time. So there should be 7 listed And for every elective, there should be an alternate. Okay, this is what, when you go into Aeries on the link from our website, there's a button that says Open Aeries. This is going to be, once you sign in, what it looks like. From here, you're selecting classes. So on the left-hand side, there's classes. You're going to click that right there. Perfect. And then from there, you're going to do course requests entry. So you will select that. And this is where it will take you. This is where you can start putting in those course requests. So on that paper, there's codes. You can either type in the code, the title, or you can subject area search. So there's many ways for you to categorize and find the classes that would best fit you or your students. And once it is all filled out, it should look, oh, this is an example. It should look like this. So left-hand side, we have English, we have a math, we have a science, a history, Spanish, or a world language, an elective, and to that elective, we have 2 different alternates in case that one, for some reason, doesn't work out. Okay, and this student does not want to have a 6th period, so that would mean they would have a 0 through 5 schedule. Okay, if there's any questions, we are happy to answer some questions that you may have.
Thank you all so much. I'm going to go over to the chat and see what questions we have. The first one I'm going to do is, can students take history over the summer from somewhere like Method? No, we do not accept like a U.S. history from Method over the summer back on our transcript. Students will need to take it with us during the school year. All right, my next question, it was, thanks, Ms. Vieira, is IB Math AAHL available next year? As long as your student is meeting that minimum requirement for the Math AAHL, yes, it would then be offered next year. Next question is, if you finish integrated math 3 as a sophomore, does that count as 3 years of math for college, or do you need another year? All right, I'll answer that one. Any counselors that want to answer a question, you're welcome to. For that one, yes, that minimum requirement would be met. However, the recommended would not be met. So just keep that in mind. Next question is, will dual enrollment count as an AP? That is a very big question. And the answer to that is, our dual enrollment courses are weighted courses. So as far as GPA, they will be going into your GPA as a weighted course, just like an AP course would be. However, because they're dual enrollment courses, you're getting 10 credits per semester class, and you're getting 3 credits per for a college course. Most colleges will see it comparable to an AP or an IB class. However, what we've been told over the years, especially with some of our counselors having students of their own, that they're not necessarily comparable, and that some of the higher level, possibly IB schools, will look at an AP or an IB as a higher class. So please keep that in mind. If you're wondering, reach out to the schools themselves. The Office of Admissions, they're always really, really great. No matter what school you call, and they're very, very helpful. All right. I already answered this one about CHS accepting U.S. history from a community college over the summer. No, we will not do that. All right, students with an IEP, should they meet with their team to select classes or requesting a meeting with their counselor? We are going to meet with every single one of your students. I think our junior class is at like 490 or 500 right now. Counselors, over that March 3rd to I think it was March 13th, we have in our calendars one-on-one meetings via that world history to select their courses with them and finalize that selection. Today, they actually did select courses I know one period if your student couldn't get in, we put those course selections in directly. If your student couldn't get in another period, we actually have those forms and we are going to put them in directly. So your students' forms will absolutely, those courses will get put in and we will have that meeting one-on-one. Now, if your student's IEP meeting, their annual or their try is after this course selection process, we absolutely can have that conversation about course selection at their IEP. The question is, do students need to be in the full IB diploma program to take an IB class? No, they do not. They can be what's called a course student. And a course student means that they're taking, let's say, IB English, but not IB math. Now, I would encourage your student to talk to Miss Beer if they're interested in some of the IB classes. What would it look like for them to be a full IB diploma candidate? Again, they don't have to. One of the bigger defining classes in an IB student schedule is that TOK or Theory of Knowledge class. Again, if you have interest in that IB program at all, I would encourage your student to go see Miss Vieira in room 801. Are summer courses taken in community college weighted? We do not take outside coursework and put it on our transcripts. So no, it would not be weighted. You can't go and take, let's say, a Spanish course and have it brought back on our transcript. So the question is, would taking a computer science course over the summer with Mount SAC or exploring more options with Citrus count for credits on my high school transcript? The answer to that is no, we do offer computer science courses at our school. So anything we offer at our schools especially is not going to be able to be brought back onto your student's transcript. All right. Do colleges prefer AP over IB? That's a great question. Both programs have a great curriculum. They are a little bit different. It's just going to depend on the student. I do not think that colleges prefer one over the other. Again, if you're wondering if a specific school does, you're welcome to reach out to that school. But everything we've ever heard is that they see AP and IB as comparable programs. All right, next question. If my son took freshman biochemistry over the summer and AP bio this year, then does he need to take a science class in his junior year if he plans to take a senior science class? I do encourage students to take a science class in their senior year. Now, without knowing all of the ins and the outs of your student's specific schedule next year, I don't want to say yes or no. That's something very specifically that I would encourage your student to talk to their counselor about during that one-on-one meeting. But I do encourage my juniors to take a course. Historically, we've always done our course selection on a Google form, and we've actually forced all juniors to select a science course. Aries is a little bit different, so we couldn't or weren't able to do that. But it's because we want your students to have the conversation with us of why are they not doing it. If it's for a purpose because they need to fit in this other class, that's also something that counselors can always explain in a letter of recommendation. And they are already fitting 3 years in, and then possibly that fourth year if they want to take it in their senior year as well. Next question is, can we meet parents and our child with the counselor? So counselors are going to be meeting with about 2,600 students individually one-on-one over the next 2 months. We have those meetings scheduled with students because we want to have those conversations with them. And we have these evenings because it would be impossible for us to meet with all students and parents over the next couple of months. All right, through the next couple of questions. All right. Is dual enrollment better over AP? That's going to depend on the school. I can't say that one is over better or more advantage over the other for your student. We are told that they are seen as very comparable, but please reach out to the specific schools if you are wondering what your specific, like maybe number one school is thinking. So, and the next question is the link provided above for dual enrollment states that all classes except English is available to seniors. I specifically asking about Math 160. Yes, all students have access to them, typically besides some of those English courses. However, we do like to make note that you do have to be meeting the prerequisites for the courses and that priority will be given to seniors typically. So just keep that in mind. If your student's taking one dual enrollment class, we really encourage for a second dual enrollment class. Dual enrollment classes are only one period a day. Sorry, one semester a year. I know I said one period a day. They're only one semester a year. And so that's one semester, so they kind of need a buddy. So we encourage having those two courses together. And again, that's a conversation that we will have with your student. But if you can also reiterate that to your student, that would be great. All right. I have a specific question about PE. I am not entirely sure what you mean. I would encourage you to reach out directly to your student's counselor regarding that question. It's regarding PE and letter grades and then marching PE, I believe. So please go ahead and reach out to your counselor specifically. All right, it looks like those are all of the questions, and we are about at time. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you all for being here. Thank you everyone for coming on in, and we will see you next year. Have a great day, guys.